pray for our country at all times, that all citizens are safe, healthy, and happy. We pray for wisdom for all those who guide and govern. Help us govern body in every situation, to know and to do the right things and just, for soundness of judgment and making vital decisions. We pray for peacemakers, the holy life-giving spirit may ever dwell in their hearts, and the barriers of fear, suspicion, and hatred may fall. This we pray to the Holy Father. Amen.
It's coming.
1 second delay coming for the flag, please.
Over here.
It's in the kitchen, I think.
Oh.
That's a new one.
Here's some pictures that match.
Just the reverse. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Last time I was up here, I brought up the fact about that my insurance rates were going to double back in 2011 because my insurance company decided that I was 7 miles away from the fire department. They ran the mileage from the fire department out 1A and then back in Bryant Pond to my house. So it was going to jump from $800 to $1,600 a year. I decided that I needed to find out more information if I was the only one that was ever going to be affected like that. So I did some research. And I found something. In 2010 and 2011, Alachua County Fire Rescue, which is down in a really densely populated area of Gainesville, Florida, was facing major reductions in their tax base. And they considered closing one of their fire departments. So they decided to do a study, and in that study, they went out to different insurance companies to see what it would do if they closed that fire department. Now, in Gainesville, Florida, there's a fire department. Pretty much every corner has a fire department in Gainesville, Florida. It's not a sparsely populated area like we are. First question, how does fire station location impact ISO ratings? A representative stated that when insured property is not within 5 road miles from a fire station, the PPC is a 10, regardless of whether there is adequate water supply available, and that going from a PPC 5 to a PPC 10, which is their rating system, should see an approximate increase of 39%. The second, there was 3 questions. I'm only going to do 2 just to save time. The second of the 3 was, what is the impact to insurance rates in an affected area if a fire station were closed? The results of the survey showed that all 6 insurance respondents said their companies used ISO PPC for determining insurance premiums, with 5 of them stating it was used as a basis for determining insurance rates. The most common factors in determining insurance rates in order are the distance to a fire station, so that's the first thing they look at, distance to a fire hydrant, ISO PPC, age of the structure, and construction type. Fire department location was listed 4 times, fire hydrant locations and type of construction was listed 3 times, and age of the structure was listed twice of all of the respondents. All 6 respondents said there would be a significant increase in insurance premiums ranging from 30 to 100% if the closed fire station were more than 5 road miles from an insured structure. 3 stated the possibility of the policy being dropped altogether. or not having coverage available for the structure. So they recommended, of course, not to close the fire department. I urge you, seriously, before you listen to these ones that want to close our fire department and defund it, you really need to take into account what it's going to do to all of the businesses, all of the landlords, not just $200 or $400. There was 62 people that showed up for the meeting for this, Gainesville, Florida. All of them were upset with the fact that their insurance was going to go up $200 to $400 when they didn't realize that it was going to double their insurance premiums for everybody. And if anybody wants to read it, it's right here. I've got a whole study.
Thank you, Jen.
So I just want to speak to that real quick.
I'm supposed to start off and thank Cheryl Moyer and the government for the excellent job that they did with the Tornado Blossom Festival. I forget about that. I've seen them work many, many hours together, and the volunteers that they've had worked with them. I think they did a great job and made it a successful Tornado Blossom Festival. Thank you, Ms.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that for those of you that don't know, I am a licensed insurance agent in the state of Maine, and I have been for the past 8 years. And the insurance ratings are based on the distance that you are from a fire department. So more than 5 miles can cause your rates to go up significantly. And for me, in this area in particular, it is about a 50% increase. So just so that people are aware of that, just to reiterate your point, is that does make a huge difference. So if an increase were to come in taxes, which I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying if it were, it would probably be less than what your insurance increase would be if we didn't have a fire department. But that's just to reiterate your point.
Thank you, Ms. Before we move on, so-called comment. I would like to say a few things. I didn't know how I was going to start this whole thing today with the allegations and misrepresentation that was pointed at our town manager. Until I got a letter today. The letter is full of all half-truths, long as it's in my life, with a lot of disinformation. I'd like to go over a few of the points that was put in this letter. So Mrs. Powers has demonstrated that she's not willing to perform her duties and work hardest to provide services to the community at an affordable cost. There was a long history of using intimidation tactics against citizens in an effort to push through her own agenda. Examples of this include, but not limited to, and I'll start number 1, allegedly encouraging uniformed men with badges to stand around townspeople at the February town meeting as a show of force. That was Fathers for the Truth. We were in a COVID type situation, and there were people stationed on this, and nobody would walk those stairs. Nobody. And there was no. And the paper asked, how many law enforcement did you bring out of town to attend this meeting? And there was not one police officer from another town. All was up here. I see this firemen proud to work for the town of Fort Fairfield, showing up in support of their town. So Father from the Truth. Insisting that voters go through not go to the council with questions, but only through her. That is not right. She's always encouraged people to, if she needs something put on the agenda, to go to her to have something put on the agenda. She has never told voters not to go to the council with questions. And she never would. Neglected the release proposed budget to voters, even to the council prior to budget hearings. That is not true. So they can ask questions. Well, with our budget, we have a budget process where the department heads present the budget and give us a wish list. That usually wish list is usually asked for more than what goes on. They have to throw it in there because maybe sometimes they can afford this. Roads need to be repaired. The fire station probably needs new equipment. There's all different things they asked for, but they didn't get. Making public comments during council meetings and budget hearings accusing citizens of lying. She has never done that. And the only time that she's ever interviewed or interrupted or made public comment during budget is when I allowed her to. She had questions, somebody brought a question up the podium, and I allowed her to answer those questions. Because I can't answer all the questions, she's got the numbers in front of us. interrupt the system or publicly calling out townspeople who are participating in a meeting does not have to pay their taxes. She has never done that. Never since I've been, and we get the minutes of all the meetings, so if you want to prove the point, we'll bring up the meetings and the minutes, and we'll find out. False claiming that our townspeople are only paying $35 per capita for the ambulance service when the actual cost is over $300. We don't know that yet. What the $35 per capita was on the last year's budget. We're still working on what's going to cost. We haven't even got the income coming in from the insurance companies yet. Using scare tax and then removing essential services. She's never done that. Instructed town council not to vote members of the constituency so they would be not allowed to vote in the council meeting. She has never done that. Incorrectly advised the town council that the law required they put nearly 200,000 increase in the reserve account. The Maine statute says there's no requirements. Well, the Maine statute, and she's quoted the Maine statute in many of her minutes, and I'm not going to bother with that. And if some town manager to bypass the council approval for purchase, she has never purchased anything in the town of Fort Fairfield without town approval. Anything. Before it used to be over a certain amount of money, and they realized that under this power, she always brought, no matter how much it is, to the council's vote. Every time. And before, so prior to years before becoming town manager, there was not even a reserve account in the budget. False. There always has been. I've been on the council for 14 years. Not 6 years, this started, when I was on before, there was always reserve accounts. This stuff is going up in the public and the town, all this stuff is not true. Fail to get fire approval except for several expensive parts of that manager spending limit, some including $31,000 for Christmas trees. I can remember talking about that. A police radio system, I can remember talking about that. When the police officer up said he can't talk to anybody because he's on a car and he's walking, won't reach care. And we decided to work on that. Has nothing to do with Ms. Powers. Additionally, I'll let somebody else know from over there. The information tells me certain that media that unprofessional attacks against the townspeople result in embarrassment to our town. The only embarrassment to our town is listening to all these little misinformation. We have publicly threatened city closure of the town pool, shutting down fire and rescue department if we sign the petition. What was said was if those cuts were made. And I'm going to use the rec department for an example. The rec department, the year before, we lowered his budget because we had to shut the pool down for the summer month because of COVID. The increase in the rec department this year was for reestablishing that pool. So Ms. Powers has been getting blamed for everything and that she's all this power that she's supposed to have and she's never done. And I'm tired of it, I'm tired of the thing, and I heard rumors on it, that they're gonna keep this up until she quits. Well, she's too strong to quit over me and stuff like this. But we need this stuff to stop, and these have to stop, and even stop now. Thank you.
We're still under public comment,
Yes, we still have public comment.
because you took over on public comment and didn't give us the chance to stop.
This is all part of public comment.
Well, if I may,
You may, set up podium, state your name.
not everybody's privileged to what you just talked about.
This is what I got today, Gary. I got this today.
You opened it today or yesterday?
I opened it today, but I got today's mail.
Was then delivered to you yesterday.
No, it was in my mailbox, and it was signed. I don't know how they could do it. The day on the
I understand that you were instructed not to open it.
No, I'm never instructed not doing it. This letter I received today is July 21st. It's in today's mail. I was never instructed not to
Any of
open
you
it.
council received this yesterday?
I actually just received it tonight. I did not receive this in my mail. I'm gonna check my mail yet today, but
Were any of you instructed not to read it?
No,
That's different than what I heard.
this is what I'm talking about, misinformation.
Okay. But there's a lot of information that you went over in public comments, period, that I'm not really familiar with. I mean, I'm not privileged to what you received.
Well, you're part of this came from the taxpayers, come from the same people that we talk to all the time.
from the committee, taxpayer committee. But you're privileged to it, I'm not. So you can sit there and you can defend all the accusations you want to, but some of us don't have any idea what you're talking about. So it's not fair. You should have had a copy of that at the entrance, so that we, coming in, would at least take a few minutes to familiarize ourselves with the accusations which you defended.
I'm defending our town manager.
I understand that, and
And this is
I
not,
applaud
this
you
is
for
not
that,
the first
because
day that we've had stuff like this, Gary. It's not the first time I've heard this rumors. And it's not the first time I've had people say, we're gonna keep her on until she quits.
400 and some odd people signed a petition saying that there is something going on here that's not right. 400 and some odd people signed that petition saying that the budget that was approved by the council, the last council meeting, is not appropriate to increase its taxes, and it still has a deficit at the end of it. You can't have a budget with a deficit in it. It's against the charter. I don't know how you approve that. I guess the only answer is, well, we'll just increase the taxes. A lot of us are just fed up with paying more taxes all the time. I'm not sure that all of you, the 5 of you, understand that. If 400 and some odd people sign a petition saying, we don't want that, then there's something amiss here. 5 against 450, something's not right. So I looked at the petition, and it says ask to reduce expenses 3 or 4 different categories, which should not impact services from public works. You know, it impacts its recreation, it impacts administration, and I'm not sure what the other 2 are, emergency services. Those are the ones impacted. Those are the ones that have had biggest increase. Those like Public Works, who had a budget last year for 2020, and came in 80,000 below budget, yet they asked for more money this year than they did last year. I don't understand that. Hopefully you do. But money only goes so far, guys. It only goes so far. And it only comes from one source, taxpayers. Now, if you don't really understand that, then there's something wrong. I know that for my personal property and my business property, I pay my taxes, and I'm not complaining about that. Really, I'm not. But I don't like the way the town budgets. Andrea, I'm sorry, I don't like the way you budget. You get the information from the department head.
You address the council, not the department. You address the council.
I'm telling you, I don't like the way your manager budgets.
That's fine.
I don't like it. And I think it's wrong. I think you, as our representative, have a duty to scrutinize that very carefully. And I don't think you've done your job. I'm sorry, but I don't think you've done your job. And 400 some odd people tell me that you haven't done your job properly. So, if you want to have any semblance of cooperation with the citizens, and I implore you to reduce the expenses in the 4 categories identified in the petition. And I don't think that services should be or could be impacted whatsoever, except for emergency services. And I don't know nothing about emergency services to tell you. I am a little bit disturbed at the last meeting when the emergency service director, whoever it is, came in and said, well, instead of X number of dollars for income, we're going to increase that to $400,000. where the heck did that come from? And you tried to explain it to us that it's a way of petitioning for reimbursement, if you would, from different sources. That should have been researched long before we bought 2 ambulances. Long before. I think the cost per capita is out of line. And you've been presented information to that effect as it pertains to Caribou, Presque Isle, and other communities around. Our cost is 3 times plus, more, 300% plus more than anybody else. Something's not right. Don't get me wrong. If I call and want an ambulance, I want an ambulance. I understand that. I'm not sure that we all want to pay the price that's being projected. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, I would like to speak, yes, and I actually want to speak over here as a citizen, because I not only am on the council, but I'm also a citizen. I'm a business owner, I'm a taxpayer, and I am fed up. So, I got involved in the council because I wanted to make a difference, because I actually care what goes on in our community. And I feel like there have been lots of things that we have been able to do for the betterment of the community, including the ambulance service. I am, however, very, very disgusted and embarrassed and appalled at the state of our town right now. I feel like right now we have 2 different groups, and they're all fighting for things that they think are right, and I understand and I agree, and I want everybody to have opinions, and I want people to have, you know, a passion for our community and to want to see our community do well. However, the way that we are going about this is not helping our community at all. So basically what's happening is we have our council and our town employees and our town manager. They're all doing what they think is best. We have our citizens group that is doing what they think is best. Great. But to do that and not be able to come to some sort of middle ground, I don't understand. There's a lot of misinformation that's going around, and I don't think it's coming from the town side of it. I think it's coming from the citizens group. So I am not downing this group in any way, shape, or form, because I think it's great that people have a say. I want people to care enough to come to these meetings and to speak up. However, the paperwork that was sent in the mail today, or hand-delivered, I'm not sure, but I think that hand-delivering mail to people's mailboxes is illegal. I don't think that you can actually do that, so I don't know. I did not receive until I got here today, so I haven't thoroughly read through it. I've just kind of skimmed through it. I've listened to what Mitch had to say. But just to speak to one section of it, just to show that not everything that necessarily is in here is correct. Part of it outlines different things that, have been done or said that the citizens group is saying are incorrect. One of them says, additionally, there was a phone call from a town official demanding a list of the names and addresses of all the people in a taxpayer group working to reduce excessive town spending. We do not believe this town official did this on her own initiative. Well, I'm the only her town official, and I didn't call anybody. So I would like to, Gary, you said you want people to speak up, which is great. You think that there's 400 plus signatures that disagree with what the council is doing. I think there's 400 plus signatures that are given information and they are signing, believing in that information that they're being told, not necessarily the information that they're signing what the petition says. Yes, some people read the full petition and they agree with it and they're signing it. Perfect. Some people are being told, if you sign this, then you will help us to pass this so that our taxes don't increase. Well, that's not really the whole story, that, you know, if you're just signing and you're not paying attention. So this is live streamed, correct? Yes, okay. I hope people share this. I hope you go on Facebook, and I hope you share it, and I hope people talk to their friends. Instead of just this citizens group going out and talking, I hope that everybody else is talking too, because I am so tired of this. It's ridiculous. Our town is split in two. And I think that a lot of things that are being shared, again, are incorrect. I think that the budget that we just passed, we put tireless hours into. The council, the town, the citizens group, everybody has put a lot into that, you know, that budget and looked over it with a fine-tooth comb. Do we have a deficit? Yes, we do have a deficit. However, we also have bills to pay. So if you decrease this budget, if this goes through, then you still have loans to pay, you still have regular bills to pay, you still have services that people have to come in and register their vehicles and things like that. So I'm not quite sure how the people wanting to go back to this old budget or whatever they're wanting to do, except for those things to be paid, because it doesn't work that way. So I do have an understanding of the finances, and I do have an understanding of the budget, and I have been learning municipal government since I have been on the council. And a lot of people don't take the time to do that, and I think there's just a lot of misunderstanding, but, you know, one of them, the emergency services, the income increase. Well, we didn't have that information when we presented, first off, of how much income that we would have. We got that information before we had that meeting, when we presented it, and it was shared, it was added to the budget. It's not our fault if the information is not coming in for, was it Medicare, Medicaid?
Both.
Yes, okay. If that is not coming in because of COVID, things were delayed, we did not know exactly how much. This is a new service. So we can get compared to Presque Isle and Caribou. One, we're nowhere near the size of them. And two, they have been established for many, many years. Just like anyone that has ever started a business or ever built a home, when you start these things at first, it's expensive. I get it. It costs money to have these services. We are compared to Marcel. Their ambulance service is nowhere near what ours is, nor what I think any of our citizens even want. So I guess I would just encourage people that have signed a petition to maybe really consider what you've signed. And two, to please not share information that you do not have a full understanding of. There's lots that I don't understand in this whole process, and I go in and I speak to the town manager, or I speak to the department heads, because I want to fully understand, and I want to come here and I want to speak to all of you with knowing what I'm talking about. So the fact that people are coming to my house and sharing information with me that they believe is correct, and I know for a fact isn't. I know that they're also sharing that with people in town. And people are worked up, and people are frustrated because you don't see the whole picture, or you don't understand it, or you're being misinformed. So I just urge anyone that maybe wants some more information, please speak to me, speak to the counselors, speak to the town manager, the department heads, speak to people who are in these departments that are doing the work, that are working with the budget, not the people that are just looking at it from the outside and forming their own opinions. It's great to all have opinions. I want everyone's opinions. Very, very smart people in our community, and I value their opinions. So it's encouraged, but not at the cost of our town and our services, and just, I mean, our community is not a bonded community at this point in time. We are very separated, and it's really too bad. But again, I don't want to keep this too long. Anyone that has any questions for me, please feel free to see me after. But one last thing I do want to touch on is I am utterly disgusted by how our town manager has been treated. Absolutely, utterly appalled. If you knew how many hours she sits here every single day and how many hours she takes away from her family to do her best for this town, the fact that she has had to defend herself is uncalled for. I don't know if it's because she's a female or because she's a progressive thinker, but I would like to see our town move forward. And unless you're willing to back leadership like that, then you're mistaken. Our town is not going to move forward if we continue with the same things that we've always done and the same leadership we've always had. And if anyone has anything to say about her from now on, please feel free to bring it to my attention because I will back her 100%. I am very proud of everything that she's done.
Anybody else?
Well, I'm gonna sit right here. I'm gonna serve in a couple positions, being a town councilor, also being a resident of Fort Fairfield, and being a pastor who's been in Fort Fairfield for over 35 years. I agree with what Melissa and Mitch have already said. Some of the things that have been addressed or things that have been shared to us has not been accurate, but I want to share some things that I just put down. I just wrote this stuff in my office this afternoon. Because, you know, even as a counselor, I do pray for this community. I'm invested in this community. I was invested before I became a town councilor. I'm still invested in this community. So in regards to our position as counselors, I want the petitioners committee to be reminded of a few things. Number one, we do know and understand that we are elected officials. We're not ignorant of that, and have been placed here by the voters of Fort Fairfield to be the governing body. We know that. We do not need to be reminded that the town manager works for us and not the other way around. We know that. We understand this, but it's a talk of the town. We are a group of 5 who come from a different backgrounds, approach, and set of skills to serve Fort Fairfield. Not one of us here is identical. We all come from different viewpoints. We serve in these positions willingly and to the best of our abilities. We do serve all the people of the town of Fort Fairfield and have listened to many who have spoken their piece concerning this budget, this council, and our town manager. To the petitioners committee, please let me remind you, you do not speak for all the residents of Fort Fairfield. You're a self-appointed group that has gone around to collect signatures, but you do not speak for the whole town. And so just know that. Needless to say that things have escalated in the last several months that have drawn attention of the media, certain individuals who have helped in causing confusion, anger, and to some degree turmoil. Having said this, let me continue to express to some of you that this type of approach in trying to push an agenda should stop. It's not healthy for the community. I, as a counselor and preacher of the gospel who has served this community for over 35 years, am saddened at the divisiveness that has come over this town. It is not right. The nasty comments that have been expressed in regards to this town council, our town manager, and town staff must stop. I pray for wisdom and peace to settle over this community daily. I will say it again, I am a resident of the town of Fort Fairfield. I do pay my taxes. Do I wish they were lower? Everybody does. But I pay my taxes. I enjoy the services that Fort Fairfield provides. Many accusations and complaints have been shared concerning our abilities to govern, our motives, and our qualifications for serving in this capacity as a town councilor or town councilors. When some say that we are not listening to the people of Fort Fairfield, I disagree. We are listening, but not just to the complaints. We're also listening to the wants, the gratitude, the thankfulness, and the appreciation for what we do. We've heard it both sides. I want to just share that even as early as last Saturday, I was at the post office, and as I get my vehicle, there's a tap on my window on the passenger side, and a man approached me, and he's been in the community all his life. His wife are both workers, both hold jobs. They understand this stuff, and they complimented the town council for doing what they do and approving the budget. So it's not everybody that's speaking negative, and that's just one of many. People understand that we do need services. We do need to do things, and yes, it'll all work out, but divisiveness will make the job harder. So I just want to share that. As far as our town manager, I want to compliment her for the superb job she's been doing in her position. She's been a blessing and a great asset to this community. I will stand with her in support of the council, a councillor, also as a preacher, and as a resident of Fort Fairfield. In the few years that she's been our manager, she has strived to move this community forward. She's creative, qualified, knowledgeable in her position as a town manager. We thank you very much, Ms. Miles. I would like to share one more thing. In order for this community to move forward, we must work together. We must be patient with one another. We must respect those who govern and lead, as we must have hope, our hope that goes beyond our opinions, personal feelings concerning the future of Fort Fairfield. As a pastor in this community, I offer this passage of scripture. Finally, Apostle Peter said this, all of you be of one mind, have compassion for one another, love as brothers, be tenderhearted, be courteous, not returning evil for evil, or reviling for reviling. But on the contrary, blessed, knowing that you are called to this, that you may inherit the blessing. For he who would love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. So we ask you for your cooperation. We ask you to pray for us. We're here to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. If I may, just for a few minutes, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of this community. I've bled, just like all of you. We sweat, and we put ourselves in positions that some communities haven't had to do over the years. We've had our town ruined, flooded, burned, and look at us today. And as a councillor and elected by the town, it's a good job. I take it seriously. Somebody at the end of a boat is called minority to a majority. And what we do is we take seriously the information that we take off the street. And we compute it amongst ourselves to get the majority. Not because I like it, Melissa likes it, Mitch likes it, Mark or Scott. We take what our best interest to our community to strive forward. And in that, there's always going to be somebody that's not happy. And that's still in any vote that we do. I leave here and I've got a lump in my throat. I feel it because I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to come through with this. But still, when I leave and I come back to town and I get to the highest point that I can see this community, I'm full of joy and I'm proud because I know where we've been from. I know what we've been through and all the good times and the bad times. Other towns I've been to, great people that we've had and still have in our society. Here in Fort Fairfield, like Gary Cheerway, his name comes up many times. I'm honored. He's a financial philosopher. Dave Dorsey, for years, proud, because I live in this town that supplies the knowledge that you people have, and not just then and the present future. We've made this what we have, and there's a lot of decisions that we don't feel to the majority or minority is the right decision. But we got to stop and look where we are today and last year with COVID. And what did we do to come from such an emergency, not just in Fort Fairfield, Aroostook County, state of Maine, in the United States and the world, and stand the ground that we have to see where we came from in a pandemic of such, and base our financials off of them times. And I feel that we've made the best decision for majority and minority to move forward. And in that, I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I would like to see everybody walk away with a glimmer of hope that what we've made for a decision will work in the upcoming year of the knowledge that we've learned all together from the committees, from us. I've learned more. I've been on the town council 13 years. I've never had such an in-depth detail of budgets. Learned more this year than I ever have. And I feel that the committee that is formed can work with us highly and take the information that they have, move it forward this year, and combine it with what we've got. If there's expenses that can help dramatically, we'll have a fresh start on this coming year. This knowledge is not going to waste. We're that close to the budgets to make it work. Nobody's gonna sacrifice. We have nothing but to give. And how I look at it is all that information that the committee has in the committee, form the committee to work with the department heads, bring it to the town manager, bring it to us, and we'll use that for this upcoming year. And we can add it to this coming year's budget. If it's a big change in it, we all gain from it. But at least we can move forward together. And that's what we have to do. You know, a lot has come, a lot of information on both sides. But we need to work together because we're from Fort Fairfield. That's what we do. We do that. We've always done that. And I feel that we can make this work. I believe so. Thank you.
Anybody else? Moving on. License and permits.
As of July 21st, 2021, we have received an annual application for an on-premise license renewal for the VFW Paul Lockhart Post 6187 and an annual club and a one-day off-premises catering permit for the Maine Potato Board annual meeting that was on July 15th, 2021 for the Fort Fairfield Lions Club.
Financial report.
Excise collected in June was $64,948.63. Total for the year was $698,089.32. This is $73,089.32 collected over budget. Real estate and personal property taxes collected for the year were $3,768,761.56, which is equal to $110,855.56 collected over budget. Revenue sharing for the year was $513,844.23, which is $41,069.23 collected over budget. We ended the year with our expenses at 94.97% under budget, and our revenue was at 87.39% of budget. We are waiting for funds to come in for the ambulance service. We received July revenue sharing in the amount of $73,614.73 on July 16th, 2021. This is $1,698 over the budgeted amount.
AWS.
There was no AWS meeting for the month of June.
What business, what Fairfield Frontier,
The Fort Fairfield Frontier ATV Club would like council's approval to allow ATVs to travel Riverside Drive to cross at the Flannery Flats to the trailhead. I spoke with Brian Bronson of the Maine Inland Fisheries and Wildlife on July 12th, 2021, regarding the council's process in this discussion. MDOT requires the municipal officers to give their approval of ATVs traveling on the municipality's roads. I do recommend that council not allow for ATVs to travel Riverside Drive to Flannery Flats. It's more than 500 yards, which is only allowed by Maine state law.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the access to the ATV club.
I second that. Have a motion and a second to approve ATV travel through Riverside Drive to Flannery Flats. Any discussion?
I would just like to add to this that 20 years ago, the ATV club that was established then used that as a ATV access route, and it literally ended up out mile and a half out there by Bird's house. So, and to my knowledge, there was never any problems with it, and it was what helped the ATV club plus all the native towns using it. So it was used a lot. The access that he's asking for is maybe not done with that.
So we're asking for access permission from the last approved route, be the corner of the bridge, am I correct?
From the bridge to Flannery Flats.
Now, who owns the property from past the cemetery? Who owns that property?
That'd be the water district.
The water district.
And I have no original permission.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is a few years ago this came up, and Mr. Rajewski had stated that even if people riding on the side of the road, if we get permission, it's still up to the landowner.
Right.
Because the state only has the right of way, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they don't own it. The landowner still has the.
It's the North Kilburn Road side.
Yeah,
not-
my
not-
road.
Okay,
Yeah, my road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but the state, it's a state road, but the owner, property owner still owns technically to the center of the road.
Yes.
The state has a right of way usage. So is that a conflict? I guess my question
Well,
with landowners.
Mr.
'Cause it wasn't approved
Bronson,
then.
yeah, Brian Bronson of the Maine Inland Fisheries and Wildlife recommended that council doesn't allow it. That's why my recommendation was council not allow for ATVs to travel Riverside Drive to Flannery
Specific
Flats.
reasons, just.
It's more than the 500 yards allowed by Maine
That's
state
fine,
law.
yeah.
That's what he told me.
Yeah. That was my only question on that, because it was not approved. This was back when Mr. Foster was town manager, and it was brought up, and it was not approved then. And I live on North Caribou Road, I'd love to see a trail go by
So
there.
is that something that we can vote in to allow it?
I believe it's up to the landowners. I believe it's up to the property owners, like the last say.
Did you have permission to access that?
As of right now, I have permission from all landowners to get from the corner of the bridge up to the Barnesville Road, except one landowner who says maybe. And again, I'm only asking for the approval of the North Caribou Road in case the path that we use using Riverside Ave East fails. If I get one farmer out that way that says, can't move it anymore, then I've got a backup plan. And I can still get to Barnesville Road.
Now, there's a couple people that own a house around Tiny Flannery. They were
When I
supposed to.
spoke in the tiny plan, I always speak of every home within 200 feet of where we would have an access road or a trail. tiny fighter and the signs. We're not on their property, we're beyond their property.
Well, you have to buy our property, as Mark says, I mean, so it's
Right,
right.
I go buy Chinese property,
Yeah.
I go on the property down on the water district. The water district had to go through the line with the farmer and make sure that it's okay to be farmed. It's okay to walk, I know permission to get up through there. We don't have reasonable. They're on call, sir, except one short piece, one by Mr. Rogesky. Mr. Rogesky said, maybe, 50 trucks. Get that trail on that we are using right now, using Riverside East. That gets shut down. I really don't want to have to wait 2 whole months for the town to move North Carolina Road, and then the state to move North Carolina Road. And then we lose our whole entire direction lines. All I want is a backup plan. I'm gonna put that on the DOT application, and say, no signs up yet now. All I wanna do is just tiny go out there, make sure it's safe, and if DOT would approve.
For clarification, you're going past the field was there now?
Yep.
You're going
Right on the property line, tiny filing.
and then you connect to the
Trailer,
trailer.
we still do it for like, it was up to
That's where we got speeding.
Yeah. And it's already on the, all that, everything's clear for permission.
everything up, like I said, except the small section owned by Mr. Rogesky up on Farm Park. In the past, he's always said no. This year, he said maybe. And again, I told him this is only if I made it.
So we're going to go to, the only one that was on is on.
Correct.
And the county advisory was to give you a written notice of, permission. And you have a written permission from that landowner. I would think that should be a problem, but maybe for the county and right before,
Well, the question also would be, they would have to access on the road, along,
That's right.
okay, that's a pretty far in.
Originally, it was about 830 feet from the dog park. It said no to the dog park, so it extended by about another 500 feet, 600 feet, whatever, I can measure it exactly. But we're past tiny land, there's a grassy patch between the field and our property. I have her okay to go through there, and I have the landowner and the DC's okay to go through there. If needed.
And the.
Passes.
The cemetery, passes.
Passes.
Well, yeah, this discussion, well, this motion back, and you just say, if this kind of approves this tonight, you don't want to that, until we lose the other access on this.
Correct.
Well, I heard you say that.
Correct. I'd just like to have a backup plan so I don't have to shut the connection lines and run 2 months.
Yeah, that's good. There are not a lot of roads. If you feel, those No business. Also, the
So would you like me to read my complete findings? As town clerk and per the town charter, it was my duty to certify as to the sufficiency or insufficiency of this referendum petition. As the town clerk for Fort Fairfield, I took an oath of office and swore that I would faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as town clerk for the town of Fort Fairfield, according to the Constitution and the laws of the state. My findings are based on facts, and those facts are as follows.
Signatures were in fact collected prior to the town council passing the 21-22 budget. I know this because in fact I witnessed Mr. and Mrs. Willett pull into a residence of my family member on June 10th, 2021 to attempt to gather her signature. While there, another family member said that they had also previously signed this petition. I also have documentation from individuals that have stated that they signed as early as April. Others were able to give me exact dates, all of which were prior to, the town council passing the 21-22 budget, and all prior to the formation of the Circulators Petition Committee. And it was stated by the Petitioners Committee's lawyer that there was no provision for the clerk to obtain extrinsic evidence outside the submitted petition affidavits. Well, there is no provision saying the town clerk cannot. However, again, I was there on June 10th. It was no secret that this committee, mainly Mr. and Mrs. Willett, were out going door to door, street to street, collecting signatures for months. We also saw the bright pink posters posted on some local businesses. And I will point out, and I have included in the council packets, I flagged them, that the information is not exact to the information that was titled referendum petition that was filed with me, the town clerk. I will also bring to your attention the statement on the bottom of the same paper, the bright pink one that was posted at town businesses. Below, townspeople wishing to support this petition may sign it at KPEL Industrial Services located at 178 Presque Isle Street in Fort Fairfield, or call 207-476-5460, and a volunteer will get the petition to you. Petitions must be circulated by the member of the petitioners committee, as they're the ones that signed the affidavit that they would do so. You cannot have volunteers circulate these petitions, nor can you leave them at a place of business to sign unless you, the circulator, will be present to witness those signatures. If you'd like me to state under the town charter, subsection 49, commencement of proceedings, petitioners committee affidavit reads, by charter, any 5 qualified voters may commence initiative or referendum proceedings by filing with the clerk an affidavit stating that they will constitute the petitioners committee and be responsible for circulation of the petition and filing it in proper form, stating their names and street addresses and specifying the mailing addresses to which all notices to the committee are to be sent, and setting out in the full proposed initiative ordinance or citing the ordinance sought to be reconsidered. The definition of commencement is a beginning or a start. To begin or start, starting point to kick off. The petitioners committee filed with me on July 25th, 2021, their affidavit to form the 5-member petitioner committee per the town of Fort Fairfield charter that clearly states, for the purpose of circulating and filing in proper form a referendum petition to require reconsideration by the town council of certain adopted budget items for the 2020-21 fiscal year. However, that was a typo. I overlooked it because it did not repeat itself in any of the future documents. According to the town charter, subsection 33, paragraph C, procedure, referendum, and initiative proceedings under this article shall be carried out in accordance with requirements of this charter as set forth in subsection 48 through 54 in Article 7. However, the following time schedule shall be in effect to preclude extended financial restriction on council in the conduct of town affairs. Time for filing petition. Budget referendum petitions must be filed within 7 calendar days after the council adoption of the budget. Time for certification of clerk amendment. The clerk shall complete a certificate as to the sufficiency of the petition within 5 days after filing. If determined insufficient, an immediate written notice shall be given in hand to a petition committee member who shall acknowledge receipt of the notice. If intent to amend is given by the committee within 1 day of receipt of the notice and added 2 days from the notice of intent shall be granted for filing the amended petition. If I'm to be held to follow the town charter and acknowledge the receipt and certification in 5 days per the charter, then the people also need to follow the town charter, which clearly states under the commencement of proceedings, petitioners committee affidavit, section C, paragraph 1, budget referendum petitions must be filed within 7 calendar days after the council adoption of the budget. Again, not 3 months, but 7 days. As far as the affidavit of circulation of petition, all circulators swore that each voter had the opportunity to read the full petition text before signing it. As these petitions were circulated prior to the town council passing the 21-22 budget, the full text of the petition would not have been accurate at that time and would have had to have been changed once the budget was passed on June 24th, 2021, to reflect the proper and current amounts that the petition committee were requesting the town to amend. You will also see multiple staple holes in the signature pages, which indicate that pages removed and replaced multiple times. Therefore, once again, this petition is insufficient. The determination of the clerk as to sufficiency shall not be subject to council review. That is under our charter, under subsection 33, paragraph C, number 3. The petitioners committee forwarded a letter to each town councillor, a copy of a letter addressed to me, the town clerk, and disclosed responses to my rejections of sufficiency, therefore superseding procedure as outlined in the town charter and not allowing for due process. There is an argument that since the charter does not specify the specifics of the layouts of the petitions, except that it must be presented as one instrument, interpretation of one instrument seems to be an issue. In order to properly circulate a petition, the full language of the action sought should be on the petition. Therefore, when the petition is signed, it is clear to all what the purpose of that petition is. The exact language on the petition is then used on the ballot when it does go to vote. I have included examples of state petition papers and ballots, and even a sample local petition. And you can see how the language of the state ballot reads exactly to what is on the petition. Again, this is the proper way and would have ruled out one of the questions on the sufficiency of this petition because the language would have been developed after the council passed the budget on June 24th, and then the petitions could have been created as one instrument and circulated properly. I have a copy of nomination papers in here somewhere. So even your local nomination papers, for example, for either school board or town council, you will see they are designed as one instrument. You have your full text up here, the intention of the person running. You also have your signatures that can carry on to the back. And then you have your circulator's petition and their oath that they have signed. This is a standard proper form of one instrument. Whether there can be changes in definitions, I don't know. But this clearly cannot be changed after it's issued. There cannot be anything changed before, after, or during. It is one instrument. It would be wrong. So my example is it would be wrong to have, for example, Joe anybody take nomination papers out for school board with the pages stapled together with the candidate's name on the first page and the signatures on the second page, and then collect all the signatures needed, but decided that he doesn't really actually want to run anymore, and then just attach a new front page and put his brother listing as running instead. So the intent of the people signing those papers was compromised because they believed that Joe anybody was running, not his brother. The petition was circulated months prior, and all while the budget was still being modified and adjusted due to council requests, new information that came in after the school passed their budget, and other budget adjustments. The petitioners solicited signatures under an umbrella text of not raising taxes or keeping the tax rate flat, when they should have followed the charter and circulated a petition that outlined the full text of the committee's request after the council passed the budget on June 24th. There can be no action of the people on the budget until after the council has passed the budget. To properly follow the charter, the committee had 7 days to circulate that petition, not 3 months. And I happen to be, as the town clerk, responsible for the state and town elections every year, and I make sure everybody has the opportunity to vote. I would never stand in the way of that. By finding this petition insufficient, I'm not infringing on anyone's right to vote. I'm simply doing my job as town clerk and following the town of Fort Fairfield charter. If one wanted to argue, the petitioners committee is the one infringing on one's right to vote by improperly circulating an insufficient petition and not following the town charter. These are my findings on facts and hold true to my oath of office as town clerk of the town of Fort Fairfield, and I find this petition filed insufficient.
Appreciate that. I think that's stated a lot better than I was saying earlier. Just reiterate what I said earlier. There's so much information that is not purposely being distributed incorrectly, or, the facts are just skewed. So all of these people that sign this petition and feel like, some of the people that sign this petition may not really understood that they were signing, or that they were represented them incorrectly, as well as some of the information that's been shared. You said that very well.
Thank you.
And I, for one, have experience from the county council. Many times I've had a nomination case, and I have turned it in to the hour. And an hour later, I get a phone call from the Joe rejecting my application. Either mistakes, errors. She's got a job, and I go to stand on that. And she, in my experience, very capable and knowledgeable of what she's done.
As a town, seek any legal counsel concerning this issue.
You asking me?
You have, anything having to do with the petition has to be addressed to the town clerk.
Yes.
On anything else, have you or the chairman, don't see it those ones? No, I didn't.
I haven't.
But as far as the findings are set to present us, no.
Just curious, if we're seeking legal counsel, whatever, or no. No, it's okay.
I guess I don't understand. I don't think we understand the question, sir.
Have you used legal
I'm
counsel?
looking for interpretation of the charter from legal counsel
Yes,
concerning this.
absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I guess that's my question.
yeah.
Do we
And
have
Billy Joe has, we,
the rest of the council might be able to see.
well, again, by following process and the charter, there isn't anything to give to council yet. Because we have to follow through the process before any determination can be made. It is now been brought to council, so once something happens this evening, then depending upon what happens, you would receive information.
So we have to go on.
That's right. The charter tells you that the town clerk's determination is not to be, you can't find fault with the determination. And so the next process is to bring it to the council, which is what they asked to do, which is what we did. We brought it to council at the next regular town council meeting, which is what it says in the charter, which is what we did. And so now council has the opportunity to discuss and determine what they would like to do moving forward.
You can approve or disapprove my findings per charter.
Before we start, I'm going to do a motion.
Make a motion to accept the town clerk's findings.
Motion is second. We accept the town clerk's certification. Now, wait a second.
Billy Joe, to the best of your knowledge of your training and the years that you've worked in your position in this town office, you stand behind your findings?
100
Contrary.
100%.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Billy Joe, try to do this and whatever. I don't know what this is. We now call for the vote. Scott? Mark? Melissa? How do we go to the board of commission on the minutes?
The Housing Authority of Fort Fairfield Board of Commissioners would like to put forward the following names for your consideration for the position Commissioner of Housing Authority of Fort Fairfield. We have two names, one Jason Barnes of the Aroostook Falls Road in Fort Fairfield, and one Sean Bernard of 4 Blaine Street of Fort Fairfield. Both citizens have been spoken with and both agree to serve.
So moved.
The current town personnel policies and procedures were amended on March 18, 2020 for the pandemic policy and procedure. We have a new federal and state holiday to implement, LD 183, an act to establish Juneteenth as a paid state holiday, signed and approved by Governor Mills June 10th of 2021. I recommend Section 521A, holidays, add the Juneteenth 619 to the personnel policies and procedures. Section 521B states that when a holiday falls on Sunday, the following Monday shall be deemed a holiday. When a holiday falls on a Saturday, it shall be observed on the preceding Friday. Recommendation is Town Council amend the town personnel policies and procedures by adding Section 521A, Juneteenth holiday.
So moved.
The county is going to hire a program administrator to manage the ARPA funds to better guide the investment in our county and to assist the municipalities that wish to participate in the program. The program will last for 5 years. County is asking for one-time investment of 2% of our allocation of ARPA funding, which is $346,927. At 2%, that amount is $6,938.54. This is a one-time investment. The recommendation is that Town Council sign the ARP service contract with the County of Aroostook Commissioner's Office.
So moved. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from June 17, 2021, the council meeting, and the June 24, 2021 special.
If council so wishes, I will read the warrants concurrently. Warrant 28 in the amount of $1,290,197.76. Warrant 29 in the amount of $98,416.01. Warrant 1 at $229,898.19. And warrant 2 at $342,503.43. This warrant includes the monthly payment to SAD 20 in the amount of $178,532.01. Their 55% was granted by the state legislature. Our checking account balance as of July 19th, 2021 is $692,027.40, and Machias savings is $5,000.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept number 2829, 0102 as stated.
Council, if I could interject, the checking account balance as of July 8th is $811,061.82. I have a couple things under other.
Any other?
I do. So we have a citizen who has discussed guardrails in the community as a safety concern. And the cost of guardrails is not in our current budget, so that is a discussion that we will have to have at a later date. The Director Hanson and myself are collecting the information on costs for that, and we will present next month to council to discuss. And then also on the paving side of things, as council is aware, we have had to pull back on our paving project that we implemented a couple of years ago through Director Hanson. But there is a lot of concern amongst a lot of citizens. I get several phone calls, specifically from Mr. Biggs on the Russell Road. He is very upset about not being able to have his road on part of that project for this year. And if Director Hanson would like to address some of the same issues, but there are several roads in our community due to weather reasons, due to cost of materials, lots of different things that have made it difficult for us to move forward with our paving project that we had started. If we had continued, we could have looked at in 2023-24 really doing some substantial paving projects. So these are things that I would like council to keep in mind moving forward. At some point in time, we will need to get back to that project and the process of what we would like to see happen in the community with the paving. Do you have anything else?
No, I think you've covered it quite well. It's very expensive. Every year we put it off, it just gets further and further out, and it gets more and more expensive. I stood up at the podium, I said, we're losing ground. We're still losing ground. Yes.